Hey guys, gonna let a few people drop in here real quick. I'm on my way home from the Bell County Comic Con. So I've been very busy this week and this weekend. But obviously it's been a very newsworthy 24 hours, I guess you could say. Especially as it relates to firearms and things like that. Get this crap out of my glasses. There we go. So I thought on my way home I'd sort of vent a little bit because I'm really frustrated. A lot of people frustrate me every time there's a mass shooting, and the main thing that frustrates me, and I keep trying to tell people, you know, I don't know if people just think it's fun to try and find out, okay, is the shooter this time, is he a leftist? Is he a rightist? Is he left wing? Is he right wing? Is he Republican? Is he Democrat? Does he support Trump? Does he not support Trump? Who the flip cares? It doesn't matter. It does not matter what political party he belongs to. And here's why. I'm telling you, as long as we continue to focus on this, we will never solve this problem. The shooter in El Paso, if we're to believe the manifesto that was supposedly put out by this guy, is either somewhat right-leaning or he's kind of an anarchist. But the shooter in Detroit was left-wing. So it does no good, and really it doesn't matter whether someone who goes and murders innocent people is a Republican, a Democrat, an atheist, a Christian, a Muslim. It does not matter. It also doesn't matter what kind of firearm he or she uses when committing these crimes, because the problem is we're focusing on the what. What did he use to kill people? What was he wearing? What is his political persuasion? And the question that we need to be asking, unless we want to just continue going down this road, is why? It doesn't matter what was used to murder dozens of people. What matters is, why did he do it? Because if we don't solve the why, the what is just going to change. You look at the UK, you look at other countries, and you know, the left does like to use this idea of, oh my gosh, you know, we've got more gun violence than any other country in the world. Well, no, that's not true. The problem is that the left, what they do is they pick and choose what they want to use as their benchmark for making that determination. The United States isn't even in the top half of most violent countries in the world. The problem is the left doesn't want to include all of them. They want to cherry pick. But again, this is not a left or right issue. Because in the UK, where they have no guns, guess what people are doing? They're stabbing people. People get stoned in some countries. People get beheaded with knives. Violence is violence. And so it's important, the why is what's important. Violence happens because we're human beings. Human beings are why people are violent. It's in our nature. It's who we are. Animals, every animal species, just about, to some degree, is violent. Not just humans. But we are a violent race of people. And the only thing that has changed throughout time is the weapon used to commit this violence. Everything from swords to knives to bows and arrows to tanks to guns to gas to rope has all been used to kill and murder people by different groups throughout time. So the what is not the problem. You're not going to solve anything by going after guns. You're not going to solve anything by trying to figure out if this is a Republican or a Democrat, because in the last 24 hours, and let's just go with the fact that the guy was a Republican. Let's just say he was a Republican in El Paso. You had a Republican and a Democrat commit mass murder. One in Ohio, one in Texas. And instead of trying to figure out, well, wait a second, you've got the left attacking the right over El Paso, and now you got the right attacking the left over Dayton, Ohio. That's not solving anything. All that's doing now is continuing to perpetuate the hate, the anger, the division, and the why on why people are going out there and shooting each other. Do you know why? Do you know why people are going out there and shooting so many people? Because we have no respect for life. There is no respect for life in this society anymore. Oh, wait, you're a Trump supporter? Well, then you're a Nazi. You don't deserve to live. Oh, you're a leftist? Well, then you're a communist and you don't deserve to live. And we dehumanize each other to the point where it's not really killing people, it's killing an ideology. It's okay to kill a Nazi. It's okay to kill a communist. That's the ideology that people are killing under. Or it's okay to kill people who make more money than me or less money than me or who look differently than me. Because we've dehumanized it as a society, and we continue to do that. And the politicians are the ones that are perpetuating this. Go and look on Twitter, even if you're not on Twitter. Go and look on Twitter and look at the dehumanization from both sides. Yes, these shootings are real. That's just nonsense to say otherwise. And you look at how people are talking to each other and the names they're calling each other and the fact that the left is attacking the right and the right is attacking the left. People, stop it. Stop this BS crap. We need to figure out why. And you know what? I know a lot of people are saying it's you know, we've got these mental health problems and all that. 4% of mass shooters have mental problems. Now, I would argue, of course, anyone that shoots another innocent human being has probably got mental problems, but it doesn't mean that they've got a mental illness or that there's something necessarily that they're, you know, mentally ill. But for some reason, some people believe that their only recourse in solving whatever problem is going through their head or whatever they see as an issue is to shoot people. And if we want to make this about guns, that's very easy to do. Because it wasn't until a second person with a gun showed up and stopped the shooter. And if more people would arm themselves in self-defense and train themselves and be willing to step between a bad guy and some good guys, then we probably wouldn't have as many, or at least they wouldn't be as bad. Now, I know in El Paso, a lot of people are talking about, as a matter of fact, people are even blaming me and Open Carry Texas for the El Paso shooting. Oh, where was your open carry to stop the shooting? I thought open carry was a deterrent. Well, obviously no one was open carrying, first of all. And I only heard one story of somebody that was actually armed, and instead of engaging the shooter, I don't know what the time frame is, that individual went and tried to save a bunch of children instead of taking out the shooter. I don't know what's going through people's head, but look at it this way. Only 4%, I think the actual number is 3.7% of Texans, it's just over 1 million Texans have a license to carry out of 18 million Texans. About 1 million, that's 3.7 or 8% of Texans have a license to carry. They have the government permission slip to be able to defend themselves in the malls, in the Walmarts or wherever. Now, the Walmart was a gun-free zone anyway, so it didn't matter if 18 million people were armed at the mall. They weren't allowed to carry a firearm. And there's discrepancy. I know Walmart abides by state law, But there's also a discrepancy about whether or not the Walmart was on the Simon Properties land and was therefore a gun-free zone as well. But I don't think Walmart leases land. They generally have their own. So I don't think that the Walmart was a gun-free zone. But the problem is that there weren't enough armed people, and there weren't enough armed people who were willing to do something around this shooter to stop him. And he was able to kill 20 people and injure many more. But again, folks, it doesn't matter. Here's the problem. When we argue about whether or not there should have been an armed person there, we're again, even in that argument, we're missing the point. And the point is, why are people shooting other people? And until we figure that out, it doesn't matter how many background checks you institute. It doesn't matter how many guns or what types of guns you ban. It doesn't matter what age you put at the what age you increase the ability to carry a firearm. None of that matters, because if somebody wants to kill a bunch of people, they're gonna find a way to kill a bunch of people. And just talking about banning so-called assault weapons, or weapons that look a certain way, in 2019 and beyond, does absolutely no good, because there are millions, hundreds of millions of these weapons out there, and you are not going to get them all from society. But the problem isn't the hundreds or the millions of gun owners are not the problem. So taking a firearm away from somebody who is never a threat is never a good idea. But all this talk about, oh look, the Ohio shooter was a Democrat. So what? Who cares? Oh, the El Paso shooter was a Republican. So what? Who cares? It's not Trump's fault. It's not AOC's fault. It's not Bernie's fault. It's not Beto's fault. It's not Obama's fault. There is one person and one person only who is responsible for each of those shootings. And that person is the shooter himself. No one else. Not his parents, not his brothers, not his sisters, not the people who sold the gun, not the people who gave him the gun. None of those people. One person and one person only is responsible for those shootings, and that's the shooter themselves. And blaming anyone else, whether it's a political ideology, a political party, whether it's a gun rights group. I see people blaming Dana Lash. I see people blaming Open Carry Texas. I see people blaming me for these shootings. And that just shows what kind of a complete moron you are. And you just don't, you should have your mouth sewn shut because you're a moron. You should have your fingers glued together because you shouldn't be able to type such stupidity. Thankfully, we live in a free country where you're free to speak like a moron and type like a moron. But all that does is we isn't responsible, because now you're blaming a bunch of people and pissing them off. And one of those people who you're blaming, you know, it's like this. You got two kids, right? And if one child is raised by a parent as the best thing since sliced bread, can never do anything wrong, a straight A student, oh, you're so talented, you never do anything wrong, I'm so proud of you, you're my favorite child, and all of that. And then you've got another child where you're constantly saying, you know, you're always screwing up, you can't do anything right, you're never going to amount to anything. What do you think is going to happen to those two children? One of them is going to end up being very successful, and one of them is going to end up being a failure, probably on drugs and in the justice system, in prison, because they've been told times who they are that eventually they start believing it. And this is the problem when we go at each other's throats. There are people out there who, if you tell them enough that the fact that you're a Trump supporter makes you X, Y, and Z, or the fact that you're an Obama supporter makes you X, Y, and Z, there are some people out there who are just stupid, who don't have the brain cells, or at least it's surprising that they have the brain cells to put one foot in front of the other and stay upright, that will take that stuff seriously and start believing, you know what, they're right, I am a violent person, and now I'm going to take these people out. They're few and far between, but it's society scapegoats out of everyone, calling everyone racist, calling everyone these names of why we are where we are today. Society itself is to blame. If we're going to blame anyone else besides the shooter, it is society. It is a society that has allowed people to get through life without a single challenge because everybody gets a participation trophy. Nobody has to deal with adversity because, especially in the social media age, if you say something that I don't like, I'm going to get you banned. And sure enough, the next thing you know, your tweets, your Facebook messages, everything is deleted. Why? Because someone got offended. Because someone couldn't take it. So now we have a snowflake cowards who can't deal with adversity. And then we wonder, well, why are these people shooting each other up? Well, probably because they weren't allowed to get that person banned in life. So they're going to go out there and shoot them instead because they don't know how to deal with adversity. They don't know how to put up with someone being a mean to them. They don't know how to deal with criticism. They don't know how to deal with idiots who have nothing better to do than to try to tear other people down. And so you've got this, we've got these generations that we've brought up, and some of them are my age. We've got these generations who have to take responsibility for anything. And when you do have to take responsibility, you have no idea how to recover from it because you've never had that experience of having to deal with adversity. So what do people do when they don't know how to properly deal with adversity? They turn to violence. That's what is destroying this country. It's not, well, it is Republicans and it is Democrats. It's them going at each other. It's that constant push and pull. We've pushed so much one way, now we've got to pull the other way. And now that we've pulled that way, we've got to push back the other way. And we're going back and forth like a pendulum. Now I'm almost home. Those are my thoughts on this. It pisses me off because the government and our politicians have done such a great job of pitting us against each other that we can't even acknowledge what the actual problems are in our lives. And until we start focusing on those, we're never going to get this. We're going to have more and more of these shootings. They're going to continue to happen. And people are going to continue to change the definitions so it looks like we have even more of them. All right, guys. Take care. Be safe. Be free. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my rant and my bloviation. Y'all be safe.